Needy Latinos, Catholics, Southerners, and Bernie Sanders supporters are just some of the groups Clinton aides hurled insults at, according to the latest WikiLeaks email dump. The leaks also suggest that Clinton had a cozier relationship with Wall Street than we previously knew. The Clinton campaign and gossips at the Center for American Progress are deflecting questions and blaming Russia, of course. Is all this just going to blow over or stir up more trouble for Secretary Clinton? Well, guess who's here? It's Dana Perino, former White House secretary, co-host of The Five, and co-host of Perino and Stirewalt. I'll tell you what.
I'm busy.
You are so busy. Man, when Election Day comes, I thought you would exhale, but you have a new book coming out as well.
I do, but It's about a dog. So it's about joy.
So that means it's the best kind.
Fun. Exactly.
All right, so let's talk about this stuff a little bit. It's no surprise that they're throwing around insults at people, but it should be surprising some of the groups they're targeting, including putting needy Latinos in the subject line of an email.
Yeah, so, you know, having been a staffer at the Justice Department, the White House, Capitol Hill, I would never want my emails shown. And when you're shortcutting things or you're talking about having to need to call certain people, none of us would want this out there.
Yeah.
But it is out there. And it's interesting because the Clinton campaign has really tried hard to deflect attention and blame Russia.
Yeah.
Is that working? No.
Okay, that's my question,
it's
because if you pose a question to any one of Hillary Clinton's communications people, whether it's someone in charge or, you know...
They respond by saying it's Russia, and how dare you ask a question given that Russia's involved. I agree with them on substance, but just on style points, it's not working. It's the same true with the Trump campaign. They want to blame the media for these women who are coming forward accusing Donald Trump of sexual assault in the past, and they want to blame the media for that. Again, that's not working either. At this point in the campaign, you have to deal with the stories as they are. And on the needy Latino thing, I think that's actually worse than the Catholic one.
Yeah.
A lot of people are upset about what was written about Catholics, but the thing is...
But boy, did that activate the Catholic base.
But the funny thing to me about that is that those staffers that are talking about it are actually Catholic.
Yeah.
And so in terms of, I'm a Lutheran, so Lutherans can criticize Lutherans, right, and that's okay.
What about self-loathing
Catholics?
What about people who have left the flock and therefore have now become super anti-Catholic because they think they have all this perspective and life experience? I mean, that's what I felt from Jennifer Palmieri. I didn't feel that it was particularly nuanced or respectful of faith, and it was such a blanket and simplistic
And there
dismissal.
is a problem. Like when you look at the Little Sisters of the Poor, which was the group that said they did not want to carry through on Obamacare, and the Obama administration took them to court, and that ends up in the Supreme Court. I mean, there is something to be said about religious freedom and how people look at religion and government. And in fact, I would submit to you that George W. Bush had this great program as the faith-based initiative to try to utilize good faith-based programs that we know worked for poverty alleviation, drug addiction, people that are coming out of incarceration. We knew that the faith-based groups did a lot better job than the government. So George W. Bush breaks down the wall and allows government money to fund those groups. One of the first things that President Obama did when he came to the administration was eliminated the faith-based initiative. Yeah. So there are different approaches to dealing with religion on these issues.
I agree with you completely, and I do agree that these faith-based groups have a much higher rate of success. I disagree that I think it's the government's job, because I don't think that falls within the scope of government, but I think government should get out of the way so those groups can function more effectively.
Right. The thing is, though, that the government is trying to do those programs, and they do terribly at it.
Of course they do.
So to me, if the money's going to be spent, and the taxpayer money's being spent, I'd rather them be spent by groups that are actually having success.
Or lower people's taxes, allow them to keep their own money so they give to charitable organizations who can go directly to the problem and really alleviate some of these things. But you are right about that. Also interesting because we don't necessarily think of Jake Tapper as the bastion of conservatism in the media, and one Clinton staffer called him a Dick Durbin.
Oh, the one thing that's come out here is that the Democrats have very strong dislike for Jake Tapper, which I think he has played on Twitter pretty well. He's just sort of laughing it off. Like, if he's made them mad, then that's probably, like, he thinks that's a good thing.
Yeah, and Bill Richardson, he was also under the needy Latino.
I just don't, I would never want my emails to be out there, and I actually feel uncomfortable talking about people's private information that was leaked, and I don't think, I think that for Trump people that are relishing this and they want so much for the media to focus on these WikiLeaks things, if the shoe were on the other foot, I just know that it would be different, and I'm just not for hypocrisy. can stand it.
All right.
The funniest thing in the WikiLeaks thing, though, was an email from the communications team where they thought that Hillary Clinton's private email server would be a story that only lasted a weekend. That was my favorite part.
It's been a heck of a weekend. All right, Dana Perino, thank you so much.
Thank you. It turned out to be Weekend at Bernie's almost.
Oh, yeah. Man, it was. But now we can go there on Lake Champlain because he'll let everyone stay in his new cottage.